everyone. I'm Dan Alvarez, and welcome to KeepOurRedskins.com. And I am joined by Native American Eunice Davidson. And Eunice, thanks for joining us today.
Well, you're welcome. I'm really happy to be on with you talking, Dan, about this issue. It's very close to my heart. And my name is Eunice Davidson. My Indian name is Vichan Piwashdewi, which translates to Good Star Woman. So I am an enrolled member of the Spirit Lake tribe in North Dakota. I'm full-blood Dakota Sioux Indian. And I have so much passion for this. I don't know where you want to start, but I'll let you start it up.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. Why shouldn't high schools get rid of the Native American name and the symbols?
Why shouldn't high schools get rid of them? Well, for one thing, for me, there's nothing that is derogatory, hostile, or abusive, as the NCAA calls it. They all honor the Native Americans. Every one of them that I've heard of, I've never seen anyone dishonor or disrespect our people. They have the logo at Anderson High School that has a very strong feature of a warrior, and I love it. I mean, it makes us. It gives the Indians pride. The majority of the people from my reservation, Spirit Lake, they had pride in the Sioux name. They had pride in the logo or the symbol. And it's like pretty much for any one of them. Even some of them haven't been done by Native Americans, the logos or the symbols, but they still manage to get that strength or that courage look into them. And that's what I like about it. It gives us a lot of pride.
Well, I appreciate that, and we do here at Anderson High School too as well. And why do you think that there are people out there that are pushing to get this name changed? That we're finding out a lot of them are not Native Americans, and it's hard for us to understand. Do you have any background on any of that?
Well, when I think about it, I really don't like to use the race card and say racist.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I believe that maybe some are. Some of them are bigots, think that they're above them. They think that they know better than us. For whatever reason, maybe there are some that are really legitimate reasons that really think that they do disparage us. But, if the school board, I listened to the meeting last night on Facebook, and the school board, other than the two that were in support of keeping the Redskins name, the other ones were we've asked to come and speak there. Native American Guardians Association. I'm one of the board members on the Native American Guardians, NAGA we call it. But we've asked to come and speak there, and they won't let us.
Wow.
And that really says a lot to me. And, I feel bad for the people of Anderson because I have been contacted and I have been spoken to, messaged by so many people that just totally are so in support of keeping it. And, it's been a tradition with them. And I don't understand why the board will not allow us. I mean, I have my beliefs or what I think why, but, that's beside the fact. But yeah, I just think that they need to let NAGA or some of us Native Americans come from around the country to speak to them and speak to the community.
I believe that too as well, and we're hoping that with this interview that this will help and at least let some of the people around Anderson Township to hear Native American sides, because sometimes it's hard if they're not going to let us do that. Then this is a great way for you to let everybody know out there. We really appreciate you taking the time to do this for us.
Yes, well, I definitely would try to make it there to speak if I couldn't. We have other associates who are closer, that would be able to make it. But, when they don't do that, that this country is grown on democracy. And, whether you're like myself, I grew up on a reservation. And I live off the reservation now with my husband. Anyway, I'm really blessed that honored that we have dual citizenship.
Yeah.
I'm a tribal enrolled member, and I have my sovereignty rights on the reservation. When I come off the reservation, I'm a U.S. citizen. I used to feel proud. I'm proud of that. And I love this country. So I don't know why we wouldn't have the opportunity to come and talk to them and let them know, educate them. Naga's philosophy is educate, not eradicate.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's all we want to do is let them know how the people, the Indian people support these. I've talked to many around the country. I've helped many. I've sent letters out to many communities and tried to help wherever I could. But and there's so many others that do the same thing. If you go on Facebook and you go on Redskin Facts and search that, it'll come up and you'll have testimony from so many Indians on there who give testimony why they support the Redskins name, because it's strong-looking warrior, the national football team.
Right.
But any of them, the Sioux logo that we had for how many years, like everyone just loved that. But because of this, I don't know what you want to call them, political correct crowd.
Right.
Somebody needs to create something so they can do something. And, I've always been so disgusted whenever I hear any of them talk about these names and logos, and I think, if you really want to help, why don't you come to Indian communities or reservations? We have way, way more important issues that we need to take care of. We have unemployment, poverty, housing, alcohol and drugs, health care. If they really wanted to help, why don't they put their energy into something like that?
I totally agree with you. And one of the other questions, I think you might have kind of already explained it already, but what is it about the name, the Redskin, that makes you proud? Is it pretty much some of the stuff that you've already said so far?
Yes, it's just a pride to see an Indian. Where the NFL is such a big league, it holds an honor of that logo. And the NHL, the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
The colleges, the universities that have them, that is what gives me pride. When I would go to the University of North Dakota, to the Ralph Livingston Arena, I would go in there and watch the hockey game. And before they started the hockey game on the big Tron, they would tell why they were called the Sioux. The fighting spirit of the Sioux, the warriors, the great warriors that they were, how they fought, and they never gave up. It just made me so proud to sit there and hear that I was Sioux. They were talking about my people, my ancestors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you make us very proud of letting us know and letting everybody out there understand how proud you are of your heritage and what's going on. And that's what we're trying to do too. And we're wanting to try to educate as well, and not only bring it to the community, but also bring it into the school. So, you've taught us a lot, and again, we don't know what we do without your help and your support. And, and hopefully we'll get this to a point where we won't have to have this discussion anymore, and we'll keep being able to honor you guys the way that we should.
Well, I'll tell you, I certainly feel that same way about the community and Anderson and all the other schools that we try to help. It makes us feel good. It brings us together. If it wasn't for this issue, I wouldn't know so many people like I do now. I mean, many of them I've never even met in person. But, you asked me about what really gives us pride. Also what gives me pride about the Indian names and logos. The Redskins name was actually suggested by a fellow by the name of Lone Star Dietz. And he was an Indian. He has quite a history, which I can send to you if you would like.
I would love it.
But anyway, he was a head coach for the, let me see, it was, for the Boston Braves at one time.
Oh,
and
wow.
he actually played with Jim Thorpe at one time. And anyway, he was the head coach for the Boston Braves, and he's the one that suggested they change it from Braves to the Redskins. And that's coming from an Indian. I mean, that's an Indian. He's an Ogallala Sioux from South Dakota. And then the other part of it that came along was this gentleman named Blackie Wetzel. He was a Blackfoot Indian. He was tribal chairman of the Blackfeet Nation in Montana. And he traveled to Washington. And he was the president of the National Congress of American Indians, and also knew John Kennedy as a good friend.
Wow.
But he actually traveled to Washington, D.C., and he told the franchise, if you're going to use our name, Redskins, he said, at least have a caricature or a picture of them. And he said, if we do one, then we go back. He said, go back to our people. We can draw one up, and gave it to you? Would you use it? And they said, absolutely. He went back, and they talked about it, and they ended up using the profile of one of their tribal leaders, an ancestor. His name was Chief Whitecalf, I believe. But anyway, that's where that logo came from. They drew it up themselves, and these came from Indians who gave it to the Redskins to use forever.
Wow. That's just a great, those are some great stories, and that's the thing that I think everybody needs to understand, and just the history of what you're talking about. And again, it's just phenomenal that you're taking your time out of your day to talk to us, but again, just the amount of help and the support that you're providing us really means a lot to us here in the Anderson community, and we don't know how much we can repay you back, and I think one way would possibly be is when they tell us that they're going to save our name.
Exactly. Yes, that would be the biggest reward. That's the only reward I look for. I don't look for anything. I wanted to mention too, because of the issue in North Dakota, the controversy, I did write a book.
Oh wow.
Because it was gearing towards blaming the Sioux Indians for getting rid of the name, when these bigots that were in the State Board of Higher Ed and the university and whoever else it was, they wanted to get rid of the name, but they wanted to blame the Sioux, and they made this stupid agreement between the State Board of Higher Ed and the NCAA without any Indian input.
Wow.
And so much happened, and I just felt I had to write the book because I did not want anyone to blame the Sioux, especially our tribe. We voted, my tribe out here, we held a vote in 2009, and our tribe voted out of the largest turnout ever in a vote. For a vote was 90%, and it was due to the Sioux name, and they voted 70% to keep the name and logo.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's coming from an actual reservation, all enrolled members. I mean, that totally backs up all these surveys and polls that they've been taken.
Absolutely. Well, do you have the name of your book? Is there any way that we can? Oh
yes, I'm sorry. It's called Aren't We Sioux Enough?
Okay.
And I got the title when we went to the federal court with the NCAA. The judge actually said this. He asked the NCAA attorney. He said, "I need to ask you a question." He said, "How many Chippewa tribes do we have in the U.S. and Canada?" The attorney just kind of shook his head. He said, "Well, quite a bit." He said, "But you allowed one tribe in Michigan to give approval for the name." He said, "How many tribes, Seminole tribes, do we have in the U.S.?" And he shook his head again. He said, "Well, quite a bit." He said, "But you allowed one tribe to give the approval for that." And our committee, there was about 8 to 10 of us sitting in the front row of the courtroom, and he looked at us and he said, "Aren't they Sioux enough?"
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that was the inspiration for my book and to write it, because I knew I had to do something. Nobody in the media, nobody was covering us. Nobody would, the media was totally all for the ones to get rid of it.
Well, that is great. I'm sure I'll let everybody, everybody out there that's, listening to this, I'm sure that'll be a book that all of us here in the Anderson community will read, and any other information that you want to provide to us where we can learn more about your tribe or your heritage or anything like that. Is there anything else that you can provide to us that you might have that we can look at?
Well, I don't.
Is there any kind of websites or anything like that, or?
No, we really don't have a website. We have a Facebook page. It's called Native American Guardians Association. There's 2 of them on there. The one that we created is the one with the young Indian girl with a shawl on. It's got the logo on it. And she lives on our reservation. Actually, her grandfather is the one that drew the logo, Matt Green. And he lives here in North Dakota, and he's a fantastic artist too. But other than that, I think there's many things I would like to say, but I'm sure you don't have a lot of time. So
I would love to have anything that you want to tell me. Honestly, we would love to hear it. So if there's anything else that you would like to, to close out or to let any of the people, I've got as much time as you want to. If you want to give me, we would love any information.
Well, there is one thing I would like to talk about, and that's about this APA study that opposition is always putting out there and talking about how so many, I think it was Stephanie Freiberg and Angela LaRock were two ladies who did a study on this. But, you know, it was very selectively done to suit their needs. You know, they were totally against this. And the way they did the study, it's been debunked several times already. And I know, I think it was in one of them, they actually quote that the students or the suicide rate on the reservations were quoted in that as being part of this name and image. That the students, that the young kids who were doing that were actually teenagers that was connected to it. And that absolutely is not true. I've attended a few funerals where some teenagers did commit suicide, and not once did I hear the parents or anybody cry and say it was because of the Redskins name or one of these names. It was very sad. It's very sad that they would do something like that.
Absolutely. No, but again, Eunice, I'm saying your name wrong again, I'm sorry, but I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and again, everyone at Anderson really appreciates that, and hopefully we'll keep in touch with you, and thank you again for doing this interview with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This issue is very dear to me, and I really do want to get this stopped. My husband is sitting here, and he wanted to say something, if you have a minute for him.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
His name is David.
All right, thank you.
Hi, guys.
Hi, David. How are you?
One of the things that she doesn't really like to promote about herself, her seventh-generation grandfather, Wanata. There's a town in Indiana named Wanata after him.
Oh, wow.
But in 1813, he fought alongside the British, and at Fort Stevens, which is in Ohio, he was wounded a number of times and still kept charging the fort. And they didn't even expect him to live from it, but he survived that and became one of the greatest Sioux chiefs of all time. But he got his name, Wanata, from that, and it means charger. But that is history related to Ohio.
Absolutely, it does. That is some great information. I'm glad you shared it with us, and I'll make sure that this gets passed along too. That is some great stuff, David. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, she's a little. She doesn't like to brag about her ancestry that much.
I love it, and we love all that stuff. I love to hear stuff like that. So again, I'm glad you guys shared that, and I'm glad you both took the time to talk to us, and it really means a lot to me. So I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Dan, for doing that.
Oh, no problem. You guys have a great night, and we'll keep in touch with you.
All right,
Thank you.